Hi, everybody. So I keep getting questions about what's the difference between Presentation Plus versus the arcade versus the workbooks that Jenna dumped into Canvas for me, all that good stuff. So what I'm going to show you right now is Presentation Plus. So this is a student's book. So if you can go ahead and find that. You can see that the student's book up top here, right? You'll be able to find the student's book right here at the top. And then all of these different controls you can use during your Zoom call, right? So something that the students will be able to see as well are this workbook, right? Listening, and there'll be a little key. And if you go through the exercise for 2A, there'll be a little pop-up button that comes up, and the students will be able to click on this QR code, and that links to the audio file that is currently downloaded on the Teacher's Lounge. So all of these pronunciations that you can go page by page. So if you take a look here, it's on page 30 of the student's book. So I can page forward and get an actual picture of Maria and Daniel, and there'll be a little key that shows up, show all, and there'll be a little key here for them to go ahead and take a look at as it is playing, so they can see the audio as they're listening. That's super interesting, right? And then you can work through this with them, or it's up to you, right? You have latitude. So if you want to give it as a pre-assignment for Unit 3, Friends and Family, it's up to you, right? So if I take a look at this, I can pull up this entire Ventures 3 Table of Contents book. Let me put this down for a moment. And so what I'll see here is the entire teacher's page where I get a scope and sequence, right? And it shows all the standards that I need for the student's book: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And this is Presentation Plus, right? So I can take a look at Unit 1, and I can see the entire of Unit 1 laid out before me, right? And I can decide as a teacher, what are my, what personality traits am I going to put in my module? So if my module for Unit 1 is personal information, and these are the topics I'm going to use in my lesson plan: describing and comparing likes and interests, describing and discussing personality types, and then I'll have them do a listening, speaking, vocabulary building, reading, writing, and then here we go with our co-op, life skills, workforce readiness training. So it's all right there for me, right? And I can scroll forward into scope and sequence, right? So if I'm done with this, right, it has the whole teacher book and how to do it. I also have links, right? And in these links, it'll take me to the arcade and the online dictionary. So you don't have those dictionaries in the classroom anymore. I think you have one Spanish version. But if I click to the arcade, it instantly takes me to Ventures Arcade, which everybody at every level is there, right? So I have ESL 1, which is basic, and I click on it, takes me right to Ventures Basic. And this will be our ESL 1 beginning low. And then there'll be ESL 1 beginning high, right? And then there'll be intermediate low ESL 2, right? And then there'll be ESL 3 intermediate high. And then there'll be advanced low, right? And then we pop out of this series to do transitions, which Karen's going to do. And then we are going to have citizenship. So there's an English test, preparing for it. You have a whole unit on government, all different types. So basically you have the co-op training embedded. You already have the curriculum for the second co-op, but I will be giving you some additional binder checks for the formal co-op, right? So there's tons of things in the menu that you can go ahead and play with this. That would be super useful. So going back to the arcade, if I go to Unit 1, so here's what I would be thinking now that I know Canvas, right? I would be thinking about putting Unit 1 as Module 1. Maybe I'll do that, right? And then I'll have assignments for personal information that coincide to my standards, right? For listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And then which workbook or worksheets will I be using? I don't know. You guys have to play around with that and take a look at it, right? So what I have here are grammar lessons. If I click on the unit, and it takes me directly to what we're talking about. It gives me an audio to practice, right?
What's your telephone number?
Okay, so immediately it's asking for a telephone number. It's not asking what's his name, right? So I'm going to click that, and then I'll click next, right? And then we're asking for them.
What's your first name?
Okay, so it's asking for the name, right? So if I'm basic, right, the arcade has them practicing these skills, and it gives them a variety of things to check up on. So if I want to go back to the menu and I want to sort by level, I can go up to level 3. And these are all topical. So as I move through the different levels, Unit 3, Friends and Family, at the intermediate high level 3 is the same as the intermediate low. As the basic, right? As the ESL low, right? So if I'm a teacher and I'm thinking as a department moving forward together and doing things together, I just cracked my knuckles. I might be thinking in my mind, we should all have modules that look the same for our ESL learners so that when we level up, they will be able to recognize it, right? That's what we really want to do. So at the bottom here, you'll notice over here that there is a dictionary function right here. There's an audio function here. And then there's a bunch of things if you need some help, right? So what I would do is take a look at this dictionary function, right? So that's what we'll take a look at today. There's a dictionary function which pops them out, and they can look up words, and you can also translate it to different languages. They have Spanish and English, right? But you can also change it to other languages that'll pop out the menu. And these are the kind of things that I would walk my class around the different ideas when I first start my class, okay? And you can decide when to introduce that. So if I take a look at that vocabulary and I want to talk about daily living, what are they doing? And all of these are just different ideas that runs a report, and you'll be able to develop your class name, PM or AM, or you could start that and then you could decide how well did the class do. And it gives you an entire, how long did it take them to fill this out? And why is this a good idea for me? Well, it allows me to print a report. And printing a report is data. Yes. And why do I need data? Is that it can really give me a sense of, all right, so the first time we covered this unit, they didn't do so well with these particular topics. So as we spiral teach this unit again, if I have students who don't make gains, it gives me a really good starting point to carry on. So again, this just requires a little more training as we dig deeper. And I would suggest that you all just explore, right? Go ahead and explore these units. So this is on the Teachers Lounge website. And so now you have a student's book audio, which is the QR code. And then there's a workbook audio, which gives me a whole new range of lessons, which different things. And this one actually includes the transitions book. So for Karen, she'll be able to have the entire audio file here as well. And then, of course, there's the citizenship units, and these are all hyperlinked. So these modules coincide with teaching the SIP prep that we're going to be teaching in the fall, right? So you can click on any one of these.
What is the economic system in the United States?
Okay, and it gives you audio files, right? And they can download. You can download this if you like. And so this would be the arcade, and knowing the difference between the arcade and Presentation Plus is really important, right? So if I go to the Presentation Plus and I go to the student's book, this is what you were all asking. Are they going to have a hardcover book of the student's book? And so it's not really necessary for them to have that. This is really for the teachers to take you through the units, right? So if I go to Unit 5 and I can get this hyperlink drop-down menu, I can go to page 58 in the book, and it gives me the exact textbook, what's on that page, right? So one thing I could do is if I'm going to import this exact page into Canvas, is I might want to screenshot this page from my computer. And remember, on our Dell laptops that are school given, we're going to use the 4 squares, Shift S, and then we'll be able to lasso, right, this page, and I'll be able to save that in the corner, and I'll be able to name that by hitting my little disk and saving that to my desktop and saying Lesson 5 book, right? And then if I want to go to my Canvas class, I can upload these exact pictures that the students will be able to see in our lesson. Now remember, there are keys, and there are QR codes, and there are unit goals. The unit goals are always going to be the standards, right? Those are closely aligned to the CASAS, really important. And then as I turn the pages with my Presentation Plus tool, I am literally turning the pages in my book. So you can see it's page 60 here. And then I want to go ahead and I can see this is page 62, right? So what are the things that you have on Canvas right now, Jenna? Those are a bunch of differentiated instruction worksheets. And that's for if I want to use my data that I collect in my arcade reports, and I can start to think about how I might use further down the road some breakout rooms. And I see once I start learning my students, and I see some students are lagging behind other students, and I might want to organize, remember, I might want to organize those worksheets, right? So that's something, there I am. I'm always running, right? So go ahead and take some time to play with Presentation Plus, which you all should have loaded based on the codes that we gave you. If you don't have those, I'm happy to help you out, get you those codes. The pacing guide, we really want you to follow along and use the pacing guide to be teaching these concepts, okay? If you need an additional lesson, there's the workbook. If you need the additional lesson, there's the co-op binder. If you need an additional lesson to teach grammar, there are so many grammar lessons on Edpuzzle and the other websites that we looked at during the springtime, right? That Manju was talking about and a bunch of other people. There's a feature down here in your Presentation Plus called a timer. So something I like to use with the timer is to give students a few minutes to try to do something, and then I start the timer, and then they can actually see how the timer will, I can actually pause it to give them other instructions, and then I can go ahead and have them continue on. So, the Ventures Plus is such a complete program that you can really learn a lot and be able to carry them through the 10 units from September or August to December, and then we're spiral teaching. Remember, so in January, we're going to start again at Unit 1. So we definitely want students to make gains, but we also want to give students an opportunity to level up. Okay? So we'll be talking more about that later, but this gives you a little bit of differentiation between what is uploaded already on Canvas, which are some worksheets, and then you might find in your Files tab different workbooks, actual student workbooks, and then the Presentation Plus is really what we invested money in. We don't want to share these codes with the students. We definitely want to be fluent using this to teach the bulk of our lessons and our lesson delivery. You definitely want to become familiar with the keys. You want to be able to show all of this. You want to be able to have the lessons. You want to be able to hide that. You definitely want to become fluent with this. You want to be able, did I cover it? It will change a different color. It'll become gray. I didn't cover this, so I can tick on that, and the answers will vary. And then you're going to elicit those from the students in any way that you decide. So sometimes giving your opinion, you can have them do that in a discussion on Canvas. Or you might want to have them do it in a written form. It's really up to you how you decide to have them do that, right? So this chart can be uploaded as well. Very important tools. So just to make yourself aware of the presentation as opposed to the arcade, right? So the arcade is another interactive thing that they developed. And then here's where we can find the audio file, the dictionary, and there's a bunch of activities which really have them filling in, drag and drop, doing a crossword, guess the word, multiple choice. So depending on your unit, it'll have you do a game. It's very interactive. You can have this can be your ready-made ticket out the door, your exit ticket. You really need to dig down in to this idea to be thinking, how can I craft my lesson? So if you go to the Teacher's Lounge, you'll be able to find these ideas and kind of figure out how folks did this and think about that, and then play with these report features, because I think it's really important to be able to use the data. If you don't understand it, please don't stress about it. We'll get better at this and we'll dig deeper, and some teachers will like certain features and other teachers will like other features, and we'll all be able to learn from each other. Okay? All right. Have a great night, and hopefully you'll be able to take a look at this and it'll answer some of your questions.